All right, so welcome to Relatively Thinking Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Cody.
I'm Sean. Today we're going to be sharing with you guys about 5 fast facts, and we'll probably debate two of them. We'll see what we can get to.
Just remember that these facts are actual facts, but everything that succumbs them are strictly our gut shot reactions and opinions and may or may not hold truth. It's just our strict reactions.
That being said, fact one. So just recently, a number of scientists led by the University of Cornell, they actually been looking through space through a radio receiver, essentially, radio signal receiver. They ended up finding an exoplanet in a star system quite the distance away, tens of light years, that is emitting radioactive frequencies, around the planet itself. Now, as far as I know, this is the first time any type of exoplanet, anything that is able to habit life, has had something advanced as radio frequencies. What do you think about that one?
That's fairly interesting. So obviously, gut shot reaction. I mean, radioactive frequency means life. Means they're creating radio waves. They're communicating within that planet, within each other, and it is to the vast enough amount that we're seeing outside of the planet. So that's pretty substantial. That could be essentially, in my thought process, like another rendition of Earth. There is something. I don't want to use the word humanoid because that's so like self-involving and making you think that other aliens or other life forms look like and act like us. But like something of that, it's intelligent life. They're able to communicate. They're able to communicate extensively, and so.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's. I mean, given the distance away, that's. If we ever find out exactly what it is, or make it to a point of that, would obviously be out of my lifetime, our lifetime. But I do think that it kind of shows, an eye opener, because. I mean, you'll sit here and, a lot of places aren't going to be like, oh, hey, like in the trillions and trillions of planets out there, we have this special life form. We're the ones that are, like, living and surviving. By the way, they're even finding microorganisms. Venus, we talked about this. Venus, they're finding, organisms, finding life on places that we never could even thought to, habitat that. And then you look at an exoplanet that is meant for something, or where a human could actually be. You got to think about how advanced that civilization, or not even civilization, how advanced that planet could be.
Yeah.
It's rather interesting.
It is, and the funny thing, and I won't get too involved in this, but this is probably will come back up later, is I believe, again, not fact, this is gut shot, but I read this article last week. I want to say it was the former Israeli, I can't remember what position he held. It was a high position. I think it was the prime minister, admitted to the fact that they have been, in America and other countries, have been dealing with a alien race. And he completely admitted to it and said that this has been going on for years, which would make sense, because if you think about it, the way scientists theorize our solar system is that it's a fairly young solar system, and so on and so forth. And if that's the case, if just in the potentials of possibilities and all the just the way statistics work, and if the universe is as big as they say it is, there's gonna be other life forms that are well past where we are at this point in time on this planet. So it makes sense that other things would have the technology to be able to reach out to us, and obviously they would work with the governments, and the governments would obviously want to keep that. Not even the conspiracy-esque. They'd want to keep that to themselves because, let's be honest, general public are absolutely insane. And to hear that aliens exist alone would make them go into this absolute uproar. Never mind religious aspects of the uproar. Never mind, we're going to get invaded. Like, it is going to create so much chaos, and government don't like chaos. They like control. And that's the exact opposite of it. So... And I mean, I get it too. Like, look at how people are acting over a disease that 99.6% of people survive from. So imagine of aliens. Like, it's not even okay. So I don't know. It's just an interesting little tidbit.
Yeah. So I have a couple things on that. One of which would probably be for a later episode. Secondly, we did make that whole entire or we didn't make, but the government put together the UFO, where they study UFOs, all the sightings, all reports and all that. So, I mean, that is kind of like a breakthrough. You kind of see as baby steps where they're just like slowly implementing the idea of realizing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also to go on the fact where the Israeli prime minister, so to speak, said that, a lot of government officials have been in contact and all that. There was, I don't want to throw out the name. I'm not even sure if I can remember it, but there was some former CIA agent who would speak of astronauts. I believe specifically he said in San Francisco area that they would walk into these rooms, government places on, whether it be, DMT.
Yep.
They would walk in there and negotiate with these foreign beings. And it's like, I mean, honestly, like as crazy as it sounds, that's probably the only way we can even handle something like that. You have to be in a state of enhancement. You have to be in a state where an alien in front of you probably wouldn't surprise you.
Yes.
Whereas the wall is melting down, that would be like a normal thing in that sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I feel like in that essence, I don't know. So, again, I feel like we're probably going to have multiple episodes that cover it. Like the effects of DMT on you and what it does.
And then the people that reported cases of seeing extraterrestrials.
Well, not even extraterrestrials. The theory is that DMT can actually open different dimensions, and including, whether you believe in it or not, the spirit dimension. So, there's theories that, Moses, the branch that was burning, was actually a cause of DMT trip, and that's how he spoke to God, and so on and so forth. So
ayahuasca. It was an ayahuasca branch.
Well, no, ayahuasca is from South America.
Yeah, the peyote,
it was acacia. Acacia is the a plant that administered or emits DMT that would be in that area of the world. So again, that's a rabbit hole already. We're on just fact one, so we'll continue on. But yeah, I mean that's definitely, I could definitely foresee that. We may come back to that in this episode.
Yeah, more definitely.
So I have an interesting one for fact two. So the fact is that nowadays we all, even me included, we all strive and we're kind of pushing towards wanting to have that smart home. You got your smart cameras, you got your Alexas, you got your sensors for your temperature, you got the smart fridges, you have the doorbells, you have the vacuum cleaners, and all of them sense when it's time to act and not. Now the thing is what do they use to sense? What do those sensors use? So they use infrared light, which in small doses does nothing. Everything uses infrared, right? It's no issue. But if you look at what massive infrared exposures do, so they damage your eyes and your skin. Now, I don't know, there's been a lot more skin diseases as of the past, 30, 40 years. There's been a lot more eye issues of the last 30 or 40 years. There's, a lot more, it's a lot more common to need glasses, to be colorblind, to have all of these ailments. It's, again, skin diseases, different rashes that we never heard of before, so on and so forth. Not only that, but they also causes global warming.
Yeah.
Because it will ruin, the ozone and so on and so forth. So are we, in an effort to become comfortable as possible, and lazy as possible realistically, are we damaging ourselves and the environment more than we realize?
So there was, I think it was Tesla who had like the idea for, it's very, it's hard to say if it even would work. A lot of like renowned scientists nowadays say that, like, hey, the possibility of it working, you would have to send out. So his idea, let's get to that first. So his idea was to wireless electricity. You start throwing, or I wouldn't say wireless because that wasn't really a thing then. Or yeah.
So kind of like the Nikola Tesla idea.
Yeah. It was let's emit large amounts of radio frequencies to a house. You throw an antenna on top of the house, and those frequencies hit the house, and
power it.
Now you have light. And then that goes to say, too, like down in the basement, you have a couple batteries, so when these frequencies hit the house, you store those, and then
recharges the batteries.
But the only problem with that was that you have to have a large amount of those frequencies. And when those are bouncing around, this leads to the health I mean,
aspect.
Yeah, so they said it was a little bit. I wouldn't say it's that tough on the global warming, but it becomes a lot more tougher on you because then you have all this electricity being transmitted to a light. So, I mean, you hit a light switch, there's a lot amount of frequencies coming into that one room where that light is ignited. So that also becomes a very large health factor in which, that kind of leads to the point of the infrared frequencies. And,
And then also you don't want, you don't necessarily, like, again, comfort-wise, yes, you want, and obviously we need to find a better way to create electricity. But you don't want it to the point to where it is just free-flowing around. We have to remember that our bodies are 70% water. Yeah. And nuclear that fusion is not a, recipe for success.
Yeah. Yeah, a big thing Elon Musk talked about was the coming of nuclear fusion energy. In which case, China just started up I won't dive too deep into it, but they started up essentially their own sun, the nuclear fusion reactor, which is we don't have to deal, I'm pretty sure the way he said it, we didn't have to deal with, nuclear waste, we didn't have to deal with, it was kind of like eco-friendly nuclear.
Yes, until they can't control and it becomes Chernobyl times 2. Like,
yeah.
So, the problem with creating that, I'm all for finding different avenues to, basically clean up because, us as humans are absolute parasites and we destroy everything we touch. So to try to redact that and make that better, I'm all for it. But we have to be reasonable by creating this sun on Earth. You're essentially, what happens when it can no longer be contained? Yeah. What does it do? What is the fallout?
Yeah, it seems a lot of ideas have become, let's make energy more massive and huge and less containable, but we could use it.
Yeah,
and it's more.
We'll worry about what comes after.
Yeah, it's more convenient.
Yeah,
we'll take the risk.
Yeah.
Yes. Before we get off topic here, fact number 3. This is mine. So, I'd imagine we'll throw a picture up sometime around now in the video. The Black Knight satellite. So, the Discoverer satellite that was launched up into space, it broke apart, so they say, and during the Cold War race, a lot more was focused on getting things into space rather than cleaning up the space atmosphere. Now, I'll throw the picture up, but this would be, there's a picture, world-renowned, the Black Knight. It looks essentially just like a spaceship. And NASA said it was due to the fact that we didn't clean everything up, and they said chances are it's more than just a piece of the Discoverer satellite. But if you take a look at this, there was nothing reflective, because you have a lot of reflective gear to harvest some of the things coming from the sun, a lot of rays and everything. So there was nothing even close to that. Matter of fact, it looked like something out of Halo. So it's NASA confirms that they know that was once something up there. But they just chose to kind of be like, hey, it's just a piece of a satellite.
So I kind of feel like that falls in line with the first fact of where our conversation went. So, again, it has been essential. And this is now like the third representative over the past 5 or so years that's came out after they held office stating that we're in contact with extraterrestrial races. So the thing that we have to remember is that the one thing that all governments on this planet are the best at is lying and covering up whatever they did wrong. Whether it be death counts, whether it be, and that wasn't even a slight to COVID, but it could act like one, whether it be the reason why they're going to war, whether it be the stuff that they're hiding and, the atrocities that they're doing behind the scenes, it doesn't matter. That is the thing that they are the best at. Is cover-ups.
Yeah, that was the 9/11. I didn't mean to cut you off, but 9/11, one of the biggest conspiracies was that they did that just so they can pass the Patriots Act, where they would then spy on people's phones. They have access to everyone's phones, which slid right underneath everyone's nose due to the fact that it went to the FISA court.
Well, and it helped, it also helped us go to Afghanistan. Everybody thinks of Iraq, but, Iraq was a problem. We have to remember that Afghanistan wasn't, but Afghanistan had God. Gold, oil, and drugs, and that's all that matters. Yeah, so, that was essentially, the ringer for that.
The money.
Yeah. All right. So, Fact 4. So this is a personal theory I have. So it's essentially something that, again, it's just thoughts. So the fact is that the government in multiple facets, whether it be the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, they all come out with these bullshit, this is what we're going to do to clean up the country. This is what we're going to do to clean up the green gas. This is what we're going to do to, all these things, green gas. But the thing is, they never come up with anything feasible. So the past couple days, while we're sitting here and, most there's not as many vehicles on the road, we're stuck, everybody's remote, this, that, and the other. So why not stay that way? So here's my theory. If you, you being the government, create a tax break for employers that create remote positions even after the pandemic and continue to hold a percentage or different tiers of said positions. So that way your employees are no longer having to travel to your workplace every single day, which will cut down on a massive amount of emissions. 1. 2, it also creates a better life for the American people. Some people spend an hour and a half in commute time one way. So that gives them, between 2 to 3 extra hours a day because you're waking up and you're walking to another room. Not only that, but it creates an economic boom because now PCs, phones, all these different things are now having to be bought and procured to do this job.
Use at a higher rate.
Exactly. So, again, less emissions, and not only that, but now these companies are not having to pay for brick and mortars. You're not having to spend millions of dollars on... Now, again, this won't work for everything. You're going to... the industry that we're in, there's never going to be a remote. It is what it is. No. But in the long haul, why are call centers in fucking call centers? You can do this shit at home. Why are you wasting a building? And yes, you need some things for training. So build training sites, rent them out to these companies, have them come there for a week, and now they never have to drive again. Find ways and help these companies, give them tax breaks. You already steal enough of our fucking money in every other way. You could lose a little bit. Give them tax breaks to help with this, and now you don't have to spend so much money into figuring out how to do it. It's already done.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. I mean, look at it now. FaceTime, Zoom, all that fun stuff. A lot of the online chats are being used at a higher rate due to the fact that people are staying home and they have to work from home. And then like you said, that would just you eliminate. That's why we're trying to switch over. That's why California said by 2030 it would be nothing but electric cars. So you think about that. Cars are more than definitely probably one of the largest problems. You can bring in the fact of AC units and skyscrapers and all that stuff that bring in warm air or push cold air, push out warm air, but that's just a minuscule to the amount that emissions do, and especially for the fact where if your car is old enough, emissions just don't matter.
In this state, in other states, it don't matter. Period.
Yeah, we'll see that exactly right there. If I'm just shooting straight, exhaust right out into and then I travel an hour and a half to work and an hour and a half back. That's a very large toll. That's something that a whole skyscraper would do probably in a month, compared to
the carbon, the soot, and all that's coming out into the air and just destroying everything.
Well, that's rather interesting. Like you said, there was no... I think one of the most ridiculous... I wouldn't even say ridiculous. I would just say it was just the most... it was the most unthought through plan for cleaning up the ocean, which was, let's get a huge net, go to the garbage island, and, just suck it all up, put it in a net, and bring it back, and we'll find some other way to magically dump it, even though the fact that the garbage island became a thing because we didn't have anywhere else to dump stuff. And then you think about it too. If you're sweeping a huge net through the ocean, what's that going to do to the ecosystem? What is that going to do? You're going to bring in animals, and then all of a sudden you're dumping this trash, and there's a great white shark, and then the species. It's a chain reaction. It was just a terrible idea. It was a terrible idea, but that's something definitely for the future. I don't know. Time will only tell. I definitely like the way Tesla goes with the energy efficient. Elon Musk actually had an idea for roads, which is solar panel roads, whereas the more you drive on it, it charges up, and then you can disperse that electricity via, like, to your house.
I was gonna say it could just to the city. I mean, it could disperse it to the car and to the city, so you're creating energy, you're dispersing energy, you're utilizing the energy properly.
And it's there's nothing.
The problem is that won't.
The amount of roads.
Not only that's easy. Like the one thing about Americans is that would create jobs, that would create labor, and it would create money, so people would jump all over it. The issue that I see having is you have that section, and I mean for some reasons are absolutely I agree with, but you have that section of the country that are already so worried about everything being so Big Brother-esque. Now you're going to allow the government, who already in a lot of ways can't be trusted, to then fluctuate how much energy you get based off of the roads. How long before the government withholds energy because this, that, or the other, because you haven't paid this fee, because you haven't paid that.
And then it becomes essentially a currency. It's like, oh,
exactly.
Hey, this guy, I mean...
And the government never allows that to be privatized because the roads are owned by the state. So there's too much bullshit and red tape that's got to go through for it. I think it's a fantastic idea if done right. The problem is that the more people that we allow, the more politicians we allow to be in politics, the less likely it is to happen.
Yeah, because then it just gives them an extra thing to say, hey, fuck you. Like, I'm taking this away.
Unless you grease my pockets more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, what is this, number 5?
Yep.
Number 5. All right, I'm pretty sure you've seen this one. So, 1561, the celestial phenomenon. It was a painting. It showed a sun with, red and blue beams floating around. The tale was that between 4 and 5 a.m., where was it? Nuremberg, Germany.
Nuremberg.
I hope I said it correct.
Nuremberg, yeah.
Yeah, so,
we apologize for the train.
So, apparently people awoke, and they seen these flashes, from the sun, and, quote-unquote, this is where they fell from the sun. And it was supposed to be like an extraterrestrial war, a galactic war, like in our skies, that was painted during a time where the idea of even like a spaceship shouldn't have even been relevant. Whereas these guys are just sitting here like, wow, what is that in the sky? And there's multiple paintings. The one that I found online was very vague. It only showed the sun. It didn't really show too much of what it was. But then there's another one where it shows people, in orbs, right above them, and it's. I don't know. It was just something that kind of made me interested in it, because then if you think about it, that leads back to that topic of where, for decades, maybe even centuries, we've had the cooperation of our government have had somewhat of cooperation with the extraterrestrial, or whatever you want to call them, another life form. So it's like if that kind of might back up some of that evidence. If this celestial phenomenon, if it's not just some guy that decided to be like, hey, burn down that acacia tree, and then all this acacia tree. And then it was just like, oh man, like, I see the aliens in the sky. Or was it,
So, again, strictly opinionated. I feel like both exist. So,
that's a thing with history too. It's a fine medium, because they didn't over-exaggerate, but it was a lot for them at the time, so they're gonna over-exaggerate it.
Well, when you don't know what you see, sometimes your imagination can carry things away. But I believe there is also, what is that movie called? It's based off of a potentially true event. So, what is it? Battlefield LA. So, So I believe that was based off of an event from a couple people in that region that said one night there was just like a full-on battle. And this is like within the past 40 years. And they're saying they're seeing light shooting across, ships flying, this, that, and the other. Like, there was a full-on war.
This was modern?
Modern. Within the last 40 years.
Wow.
And that's what the theory of that movie was created for, is that, basically the aliens landed in LA, they fought the back, da-da-da-da. But, I don't know, it's just interesting because, that's, I don't know.
There was like a recent video that was, it was posted, it had to have been the last year and a half, over LA. It was somebody definitely up, like, in those Hollywood Hills and stuff, and you see, it's singular, it's notable. There are at least 10, like, floating, like, I want to say floating, but abnormally moving white light. And it just kind of looked like they sat there, they started going around for a while, they disappeared. And then they came back down from the sky, it was nighttime, and you could see it very, very clear. And the way they move, the way it's not like somebody in a jet sitting there, or in a plane, like, doing some crazy rollover stunts or anything. And
beyond our capabilities.
And then once it made it to the mainstream media, once it made it to the the local news over there, somebody ventured out, and right above, like, where they said was kind of where they see it, right above, which is like, you're talking about 50 miles away, right above or right below where they said they saw the lights and everything. It was a flock of seagulls. So that one right there, that one kind of got me, because I can see how a flock of seagulls, they're flying together and stuff like that, and they might make some cool thing up in the air. But if you look at it's somewhere on the internet. If you look at this video, it's white balls. It's not like, essentially it would be those seagulls dividing up into pairs of 25, hugging each other, flying around like that.
Flying V's.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, are you telling me that's what that is? Because that was the way they moved. Even a seagull doesn't move like that. Even a seagull takes time to make that U-turn, And these ones were going forward, stop, and they go back the other direction. So it was just...
Yeah, it's something that even the birds can't... So, the one thing I will say, the thing that always worries me is that you have, and if you're listening to this and you're one of those people, I don't care. You have absolute fucking losers that create these baited videos. Like, you have, like, maybe there are seagulls flying around, and then they Photoshop and they edit and make it look like something else.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but if you're doing that to troll people because you think you're funny, you're just fucking weird.
I feel at that point you're only fueling it. You're only giving us more of a reason to be like, hey, like, are you blind? Like, if you're sitting there and you're gonna try to be the troll, you're gonna try to be that one that's just like, hey, like, I can't think outside. That's the way I look at it. You can't think outside the box. You can't critically think about what's going on. It's self-absorbed, essentially.
Yeah. So obviously I'm not a huge fan of those. But anyways, so I don't know. I feel like, in my opinion, do I think, like, this is super pop culture, and I don't want to use this as, like, definitive, but if you really think about it, Michael Bay, like, the Transformers series, like, that, the way that they broke that down, the fact that they had to have 3-digit government agencies at the filming because of how potentially realistic the storyline was, and the fact that they made some really interesting, allegations towards, again, I know it's a movie, so, you can shit on this the way you want to, but if you think about it, like, the technological boom and how fast it happened, like, think about, for me, as being, like, a 30-year-old, where we were 10 or 20 years ago when I was a 10-year-old, like, when I started up the fucking computer, I had to wait 10 minutes to use that bitch. Like, that was the extent of our technology.
Yeah, now I got it in my pocket.
Now, not even, like, everything's instantaneous. We're able to communicate on a ridiculous level. It's instantly. And, how does that... Yeah, I get that competition breeds greater success and so on and so forth. But, like, I don't know, fucking 100 years ago, we were still... The main source of travel was horse and buggy. Like, this is insane. It was horse and buggy for 2,000 years.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I don't know. I'm not sure the exact number of, like, Mesopotamia. When was that? That was...
Oh, Mesopotamia was... I can't... Off the top of my head, this late at night, I can't tell you. But it was...
Let's just shoot a gun out.
BC,
3,000 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 5,000 years ago. So you're telling me in that time period, I'm just going to flash forward from back when we, just barely made these. I mean, this could also lead a little bit deeper. I'm not going to get into it. I'm going to save it a little bit, but we're barely understanding, agriculture. We're just getting to that agricultural state, and then you come over 5,000 years, and all of a sudden, we're creating essentially AI. You know what I'm saying? We're creating an artificial intelligence. We're putting chips into people's brain to hopefully cure things. Tap in with the neuro and all that fun stuff. So we've gained a massive amount that I feel is far too soon. And I wouldn't say far too soon, but it's rather a little bit sketchy on how that came about. What I think is that we've been growing for much, much longer. I feel that they don't give credit to Mesopotamia for how advanced it probably was. I think that there was tons. I mean, the Earth itself is like 10 billion years old, 13 billion years old, something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously,
give or take, the way that we date things is absolutely fucking horrendous.
Yeah, and that's another thing. We date it based off an observation. We date it based off of looking towards one part of the universe and be like, oh man, that was billions of years ago, and that's just a guess based off of a couple of guys that came together and said this, blah blah blah. But I believe that there was a lot more advanced, and I guess I'll give this the Amazon, which is something I definitely want to talk about in the future. That's shown signs of colossal technological advances. You look into that, and National Geographic did a whole thing. They had man-made fertilizer. They turned one of the worst places to grow anything, which, by the way, now it's just fucking retarded because they're chopping down the Amazon for soybean farms in a completely unfertile part of land.
Yeah.
So you're chopping.
Well, that's just that whole government doing what it does best.
Yeah. The more we cut down, the more farms we can make. So it doesn't matter if we lose one or two, or it doesn't matter if one burns out. This, that. But there's I urge anybody look into that Amazon thing because it kind of goes to show you that at one time 20 million, or what they say is an estimated 20 million people lived in that nothingless plot of land that is supposedly just empty. It's just a vast wild wilderness home to things that we still haven't even learned about, which is also that contradicts itself right there. We barely even know some of that. We find like species every other day, thousands of them from the rainforest, but it'd be completely impossible if anything else lived there. It's, I don't know. We definitely go back a very far way, and I feel like there's a lot more to show for it. And then, like you said, that whole time, the whole way we perceive time is just rather ridiculous as well, because it could just be, one day like, hey, it's 12 o'clock now. You know what I mean? Yeah,
our perception of time is absolutely horrible. It's horrid. It's, again, everything that we do as mankind is absurdly selfish and self-centered. And, we look at time as a massive construct when in all reality it's just to create. I mean, I get it helps in some aspects, and yes, that's fine. But we literally became enslaved by time, and our perspective of time, it enslaves us. That's why I feel like there's so, and obviously it's so vague, but there's one of the reasons why I feel like there's so many things wrong with so many of us at this point in time, because because of the fact of that there's no balance. There's no, we're not in tune with our environment. We're not in tune with our seasons. We're living off of a construct of an idea that was created based off of the rotations around of how long the world makes one rotation, and then, or around the year is around the sun, but also how far we're actually rotating, from light to dark and dark to light.
I do like the way you put that with enslaves, because I mean, who's to say that we need to know when the Earth rotates around the sun? What really do we gain out of that? We gain, like you say, something that enslaves us, which, as my birthday's tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. So it's we go around a year, and we only have that, I guess you could say, special day. There's only that one day based off of time, that we have to celebrate and feel good and be like, hey, I moved forward a year. This has happened in a year. But really, we're growing regardless. We're growing every single day. Why do we just make it a year? Why do we make an annual date? I mean, yes, that's the day you were born, but like I'm saying though, like you're enslaved by it. You don't.
Yeah, because now in the constructs of particularly the United States is concerned, now you're given a barcode, which is your social security number, and you are told that at this date you must register for this, and this. Thanks to your birthday, this many years now, you must register for all this so you can start paying all of these things. And then, how we're going to make sure you're paying them is we're going to set them all up to where they're due on your birthday, i.e. your registration for your vehicles, i.e. your license expires, so many different things. Yeah. It's literally, again, to enslave you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, is there any of those facts you want to jump back to?
I feel like we did a pretty good job of kind of
running through,
especially like your three, because they were kind of like congruent. They work together pretty well. Let's see. I mean, is there anything that like stuck to you?
I mean, you can tell based on my three facts. I think, honestly, it's the idiotic view that there can't be anything else out there besides us.
I feel like now we're probably at like a good 60 to 65%. Okay, so I'll go 40, and I'm not shitting on religion, but highly religious people have the inability to look outside of that religion and will stay blinded by it. Some intentionally, some non-intentionally. So outside of highly religious, Abrahamic religious people, I believe that we're probably closer to a 60% of people. Believe that they're like they have to have like. I hate to use this word because it's not, but anybody with common sense and who is not completely involved, it will realize that, like, the realm of possibilities, analytically, if what we believe, because realistically it is a belief, what we believe about the universe and its size is true, it is physically impossible for there not to be life somewhere else.
Yeah. And going on to the religion, or not going on to, but bouncing back a little bit to it, those are the people that are just kind of bound by faith. And now, I'm not saying faith is a bad thing, but it goes with time. You can be enslaved by faith. And, what?
So, again, it's not going to go over well. To an extent, I feel like faith is a bad thing. So, if you come across a religion by yourself and you believe in the doctrine, I feel like that is fantastic. All religions believe fundamentally the same thing. Be a good person. Don't be a shitbag. Don't steal. Don't kill. Like, those are great morals and theories and, things to live by. When you tell me how to, what to, and how I need to do all these things, that becomes slavery.
Yeah, it goes to show, because you get like those sub-religions, I guess you could say, because now people are just like, hey, we're Christian, but, I'm not shitting on, like, I'm not even going to try to pronounce LGB, whatever, QT, whatever. So now there's, like, Christianity religions where it's just like, yes, we are Christian or Catholic, whatever it may be, but we also support the gays. So then that kind of brings it down to subgenres. So that's where you let, I feel, the religion take way too much part of you. It's nice. So I wouldn't say it's a hobby, but you can't always let everything consume you, because then who's really thinking? Are you thinking, or are you just using your judgment based on what you've been put forth?
So that's a funny comment in itself. So the Abrahamic religions all utilize essentially the same book, and it's the Bible. It's different renditions of the Bible, and obviously Old Testament, New Testament, here, there, the other. That's fine. But in the Bible, one of the biggest things is, love thy neighbor. Love other humans, everyone. So what does anyone's sexual preference have to do with that? Like, where do you feel like how do you not feel like you're bringing in your own prejudice by saying that God does not love gays or that gays do not belong? And again, I'm sorry for, utilizing just that one vernacular of it. But that group and body belong everywhere, wherever they feel they belong. And that's all that it is. Like, and this, I don't want to get too involved into it because my theory on religion is unlike anybody I've ever met in my life. And I do like to take things from each religion because I do think fundamentally and intentionally they are good, other than Catholic. But that is complete slavery. I mean, but anyways, so I do believe the intent is there. It is meant to help guide us to be better people. And I feel like that is important. But I just believe anything that man touches, that man has control of, is corrupt and will become corrupt. And that is a problem with all these religions that have been around for hundreds of years, is man has had it in its grasp for hundreds of years, so they all are corrupt.
Yeah, see, so I definitely agree. I mean, the world's created based on balance. You have the good and the bad. You have, that stuff. And whereas as time moves on, you're going to find, a lot more of the good people, or you're going to find a lot more of the bad people, and, they're going to keep coming and keep coming. So the way I feel is that religion isn't really religion. It isn't what it is. It isn't what it was made to be. So man's obviously, it's going to, the same way the government manipulates the TV, the media, all that. Over time, man has also manipulated their own religion. And they do it to a point where it's just beneficial towards them, but they also want to be like, hey, it's not bad. It's not bad. We got it handled. I don't know. It's.
I mean, that was the whole concept of the Council of Nicaea. The Council of Nicaea was, how do we take and create something to where majority of people will believe and agree. I mean, it was basically the mixture of, and again, for lack of better words, because it is so much more than that, but paganism, old school paganism, and Catholicism, which, derived to, Protestant Christianity, all that, whatever they want to call themselves, whatever day of the week it is.
Yeah, subgenres.
It was a creation of what goes in the Bible, what doesn't go in the Bible. Let's have scholars, let's have biblical scholars, let's have, people that know, just very intelligent people. Let's lock them in a room and let's create something that's going to work for majority of people. Now, in essence, that is a good idea. But to the extent of now, what we're going to do is utilize it to, again, control. Again, there's a rabbit hole I'm not going to get down. We'll have another episode about it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, and then, funny thing, because now that I'm talking about it, and if anybody that religious is still here, which I doubt, the funny thing is that for all of you that do practice and believe in an Abrahamic religion, I do believe in your God. I think he exists. I just think that man has manipulated him in such a way that, not the way that we think he does. Or it. I don't necessarily want to gender appropriate it, but...
Yeah, so I like the way you switched that up. This goes, I was trying to find a little bit more research. I kind of just slept on it a little bit too much, but the similarities, because a lot of religions, whether you have one god, you have fucking 164 gods, whatever it may be, a lot of those, even the ones with a lot of gods, a lot of them can be combined. And then you have one that's from another religion. A lot of religions share the same god. Now I'm going to bring in, this is the extraterrestrial part of it, because you have these gods, and I want to say it's like Mayans, Aztecs. One of the biggest thought processes was, for the Aztecs, why they went missing was the thought that Spaniards came in, They grab their gold, their valuables, all that, and they head out on a sacred trail up through Texas is what they say they did, to go meet their god that was going to be descending in that one spot, to meet him, and then he takes them and they venture off and they leave this planet, and they, that's one of the theories that I found, online, whether it be factual or not. Obviously not factual.
Yeah, we wouldn't know. Yeah,
opinionated. But you look at it like that, and it's like you're going to meet a god that's coming down, and and then to throw out a larger religion, Greek. So, Greek. Yeah. So, is that the right word?
Well, yeah, you have the Greek pantheon, which is your Greco-Roman gods and goddesses. Zeus. Poseidon, Hades.
Yeah. So they say that one day Mount Olympus was there, and it was on top of that mountain, and then the next day it was gone. I'm not sure if that's completely true, but what they say is that maybe that Mount Olympus was just, a
ship or something.
A ship, yeah, exactly. And it's like, that just left the mountainside and was like, hey, we're out of here. We gave you guys some tools. You guys learned some things. Here building statues of us and all that. But we're out of here. We got you on the right path.
It kind of goes to the whole Anunnaki thought process, and I don't necessarily believe or disbelieve. I just have, read pretty substantially upon it. It's the thought process that the pyramids and in not only Giza but in the Aztec and Mayan pyramids and all of those things were created by the Anunnaki, who essentially created this world to harvest its
elements.
Yeah, I mean elements and the things that they on their planet or their universe or whatever find hospitable, what they want to use. And we as humans were created as strictly slaves, so on and so forth. But the original humans, obviously like the Cro-Magnons and stuff like that, too dumb. Then we obviously got too smart, and so on and so forth. Like there's so many theories behind it, and basically we were just sent here to be enslaved and just work. And then certain ones got, obviously certain things happen and went with them. But then my thought process is, I feel like that's the biggest con in the world. Not in the world, in the universe, because it wouldn't be in the world. But, so in the aspect of, like, who's to say that as humans, because we're extremely, like, feeble and weak, embodiment, we can't survive outside of within 100 degree temperature range. We can't.
A fragile exoskeleton.
We have an extremely fragile exoskeleton. We need a certain oxygen intake. We need so many things to survive that it is so much easier to kill us than keep us alive. Who's to say that our body could survive that that fast of space travel and or another planet?
Yeah, maybe we were put here to stay here.
Or maybe they, that's the thing. Is and that's the thing about it is if you think about our makeup, our genetic makeup, and the way that we are so, there's things that live off of, the world and the environment and stuff like that. But, and obviously, those things also, obviously need oxygen. And most of them need oxygen, and they need their things to survive. But, to be obviously we're smart, some of us, but we just need so much nurturing and so many things in the exact order to be what we are. And just it is almost like this place was made for us. We're placed here. We can't go anywhere else.
Yeah, I definitely think from the start, I feel like there was something like I said previous, like with the Greek, that hey, they put us on our path to get us going. Now it's up to us. So. Going back to the Egypt, so if new discovery, the Sphinx, about 10,000 years older than was previously thought due to water corrosion or erosion marks on the lower half of it. Now, we're not going to find that it's known that the pyramids, which have been built and rebuilt several times, hey, we fucked up, let's just tear the whole thing down.
Yeah.
But so the Sphinx was there first. Now, that's 10,000 years prior. That dates back to the start of that fertile stretch of land over there, Mesopotamia and all that. I believe that's, yeah. So, I don't know. The way I see it is it'd be stupid, and this flashes back to how fast we have progressed. So, it's we started, God only knows how long, who knows how long ago, and we were put on a path. I believe they probably gave us the tools, and they're like, hey, you just go like this, you're going to keep going, you're going to keep succeeding. And then further on the way, they were like, all right, let's lend a hand, you know what I'm saying? Like, here's a nuclear idea.
Well, it could also be, hey, we no longer want this resource, we want this one. In that aspect, in devil's advocate. But so another devil's advocate of what I just said. So what I said also helps the Abrahamic religion's cause. So because their belief is that God created this space as a, basically a safe haven for man. So in that essence, they would be right if this place was made for us and made for us not to leave.
Yeah, I mean, this is going on another crazy loop-de-loop, but, we're trying to venture back to Mars. And I say back because there was something there at one point.
Mm-hmm.
There was, I mean, we're still finding marks of a great flood, which is convenient because we have the same thing here on Earth. But they're talking about trenches, they're talking about canyons that make the Grand Canyon look crazy, so then, boom, right there, you have your ocean. You know what I'm saying? The Marianas Trench, deep, you know what I'm saying? So you have your oceans there on Mars. What if we became too advanced, too quick? We depleted our old planet, and we came
like
here.
Like we are this one?
Like
we are this one?
Exactly. And now we're trying to move back to another place where we're going to nuke the fucking polar ice cap, and then all of a sudden we're going to live again.
So a theory that just hit me, again, could be completely off the wall and nowhere near, but anyways, just a theory. So what if, to tie in religion and science, what if Moses' DMT trip is being told, what happened, all this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. What if during said DMT trip he was told about, like, the move between Mars to Earth? His mind was not able to fathom all of that, and he put it into the words, you know what I mean? Like, okay, so let's say that Noah's ship was a ship, but a spaceship, and that was transferring all of these things from Mars, each animal, male and female, so on and so forth, from Mars to this planet to inhabit this planet. But again, the way that the story is told was transferred to a seafaring ship, water from the flood. So, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know, just theories.
Yeah, that would be definitely, I mean, you take a look at it, that's the way, modern human would perceive it, because we don't give enough credit to the past. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, why do we listen to Shakespeare? Why do we think Shakespeare is such a
genius?
Yeah, like, why do we think his wordplay is so out of here, and we take everything that he said to a literal extent, but then you throw in a controversial, the celestial painting. This was, I don't know, somewhere actually 1561, somewhere near the same time frame, and we're just like, oh, well, that's questionable. We got, and then it comes to find out, is Shakespeare even a real dude? And then we start wondering, he was.
And this is before flight was even thought of in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly. And then we got, it's just, it's a pick and choose type of situation there. They're gonna want to look at something and make great people, make more, make it easier for them to back up stuff that we are overlooking. Because what if we are still. Like, what if our whole entire human race is 20,000 years that we still just don't even know about because it's a cover-up. Yeah. I wouldn't say a cover-up, so to speak, but think about it right now. Think about it comes on the news. So it's been told that 40,000 years ago there was civilizations just as we are now, and it burned itself out. Now that's going to cause.
Well, again, to bring back my favorite religion, so. The Crusades were literally to go out and destroy any artifacts or documents or anything about any other religion other than God. So what all was destroyed in that? What history was destroyed in those fires, in those raids?
More importantly, what's being withheld?
Yeah, the Vatican Library. I don't even get started on that. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Then it ties into the philosophical or just scientists in general of that time period. How many of them of their discoveries were covered up and torn away? You know, it's
And anybody who has watched this that is against a lot of like me saying that we're enslaved and the Catholic religion is all about slavery, go right to Pope and ask him for something in that Vatican library.
You get nothing. You get nothing. That's probably one of the biggest things to turn things.
Why
over.
withhold that information that could better mankind?
Yeah, unless it's gonna destroy your own power. You know, you're a country, you're a pope, you're running shit over there, and then
Well, all right. Well, I'd say that this was pretty much a success. We definitely got some talking points. I feel like we have some potential spin-offs of a couple things that we could definitely bring into some facts for the next episode.
I almost shortened this to like 40 episodes. The amount that you kind of bounced
Not necessarily, because they're all vague. So I feel
Yeah.
like they could just be like talked on a larger scale,
Definitely.
like a more. And again, I feel like we could probably during the editing of this kind of figure out some solid talking points that we could definitely get an hour's worth
Embrace
out of.
on.
Yeah. So I do want to appreciate all of you that made it through this. It was definitely probably more rambly than it will be in the future. It's definitely not as construct of a narrative, but I do like where it went. I do like how easily it flowed, and I hope all of you that watched appreciated some of it or got something out of it, or you're just so fucking mad that you just want to write and talk shit to us. That's perfectly fine too, because then I'll see you next time. Well, you do the same thing.
They wouldn't use swears, they're Catholic. They like to keep a straight edge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Send us some rosary beads or something.
Yes, they pray for us.
So again, thank you for tuning into Relatively Thinking with your host Cody
And Sean.
We look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you.